Hello. I know everybody's thinking, what am I looking at? Well, you're looking at the top of the hour, my friend. KRFF 95.9 LPFM Moorhead Fargo 701-478-4959. It's minus 423 degrees. Minus 420 degrees here in the studio. I am bundled up. I got myself taken care of. I hope you guys have as well. Noon to 3 on Thursday, side stage with Trav. And then an hour of automation. And then from 4 to 5, you got your boy Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's me. We talk about cannabis legalization in a positive light. And we stick close to home if we, when we need to. And then we'll branch out everywhere. So I don't leave any stone unturned. Oh, stone. I just see what I did there. But anyway, RadioFreeFargo.org. You can go and donate. You can listen to this stuff. You can listen to old shows. And this show, minus the music, will be done tomorrow around 5:30 on YouTube, Canna-Talk ND. You got ND for Freedom, which will be ND Cannabis, North to Cannabis. And as soon as the time, whatever. It's a long story. But anyway, I wanted to say that we, again, talk about cannabis at 4:20. We'll get into it. And if things go as planned, next Thursday at 4:20, I will have Representative Jason Doctor. That's right, he's not a real doctor, but he is a real representative. He's a co-sponsor of the House Bill 1420, so we're gonna talk to him about it. And there's a lot of interesting questions that should be asked, like how can you sponsor a cannabis measure and you don't believe in it? How does that work? So I'm kind of curious because I know he's got an answer, and that's what I'm out to get. So anyway, next Thursday, 4:20, if all the stars line up, we will have Representative Doctor in here to talk to me about his measure, 1420, which does include cannabis legalization. And as far as I know, it's the first legislative bill that's been created by the legislators in North Dakota. So it's all exciting stuff, and I'm going to be there to ask them. And if you show up tomorrow at 4:20 when I open up a big fat bag of cannabis news, you can check that out as well. And anyway, like I said, this hour is brought to you by Becky's Body Butter. That's right, Becky's Body Butter. It's made with kosher, full-spectrum CBD, North Dakota-grown hemp, ND hemp seed oil, mango butter, shea butter, beeswax, coconut oil, colloidal silver, turmeric, arnica, comfrey, myrrh, frankincense, sage, and rosemary. As the kids say, it's really pretty. It's fire stuff. And whatever you need, whatever your body's needing, it'll work. I use it for, underarm stuff. Some people use it to, to brush in their hair. I've used it for my feet funk. My sister's used it for a cold sore. So it's really good stuff to have around. You can go to Odds 2 Ends Gift Shop. That's in West Fargo, 2111 Main Avenue East. Or right next door here, Tochi Products. Or go to Black Cottage Alchemy. Again, this show is brought to you by Becky's Body Butter. There ain't nobody's body that butter shouldn't be on. Go check it out. Odds to Ends, Tochi Products, or Black Cottage Alchemy. Thank you. The New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit the website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call 701-235-4453 or just go over there and knock on the door. Tell them you're cold. It's stinking cold, folks. Here in Fargo, all I can tell you is it's sunny. RadioFreeFargo.org, KRFF 95.9. I wanted to mention before me was Side Stage with Trav, noon to 3. And then after me, it's Stinky Arts Music Mart. And then it's local on the 8s. And so stay here and we'll take care of you. And I believe that's got me up to the first musical break. This is Ways and Means, brand new Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. Here it comes. Bam. I got all kinds of ways, just ain't got the means. The Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, that's brand new, 2021. Hello, everybody. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock I get in here. 4:20 I open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and this Thursday's no different. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you're just getting into your car or just getting out of your car. I don't know how that works, but I wish everybody a great day. It is Thursday. And tomorrow's going to be Friday, and then after that, Saturday. You're like, boy, he's smart. Radio Free Fargo, KRFF, 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo. Number to the studio, 701-478-4959. And again, this time next Thursday, I will be telling you that in 15 minutes, I'm going to have Representative Jason Doctor, co-sponsor of House Bill 1420. So that's going to be exciting. You want to come back next Thursday and check that out, because I'm sure at the very least I'll make a fool of myself. And at the very most, I'll be like, you guys will be like, what kind of man? He is a genius at questions. I was hoping he'd ask him that. So that's the goal. Anyway, next Thursday. So come on through. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis legalization, and, we talk about it in a positive light. But I'm going to read a little bit out of the Pocket Guide to Pot, which I know it's cannabis. And that's another thing that I plan to talk to him. I'm hoping I can get him to stop calling it the marijuanas. But this strain's called P91. P91 is a strain that came out of Poway County, in northern San Diego, California, back in 1991. So this is a strain from Poway County in 1991. Its fabled history is riddled with stories of the early West Coast grow scene, but what is known for certain about this sativa-dominated strain is that it has a distinct flavor, and its psychoactive effects are fast-acting. Although the experience may seem fleeting, it's definitely a highly concentrated high that can get pretty psychedelic at times. It's a sativa hybrid. It's a Thai cross and a Thai Afghani cross. And then the last strain I'll read to you guys is Romulan. It's an indica hybrid. This Canadian legend has a fabled history fit for its science fiction name. It's believed to have Colombian, Mexican, Afghani, and even Korean genetics. With its unknown origin, it's almost believable that this hybrid actually comes from the Star Trek planet of Romulus, especially after you've smoked some of this mysterious bud, believed to be mostly indica thanks to narcotic body buzz. Romulan will surprise you with his mind-altering abilities, and of course I'm talking to those with medical cards here in the state of North Dakota, or if you're in a legal state. So that's just what that is. So, I don't know. That was kind of fun, huh? I'll read you a little bit. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. At 4:20, I'm going to just roll out a big fat bag of cannabis news. Philip Cannahead Pilko, he does a show on Sunday. I guess we call him the producer of this magic. So thanks for all you do. And then you can listen to him on Sunday. Tomorrow, 5:30. You can listen to this minus the music, and let's get into some tunes. Here's Folsom Wizard by Puddles. Everybody should have been good and alive after that. Staying Alive, Les Claypool, Duo de Twang. Started off with Folsom Wizard, which is a play on prison and pinball. So I didn't see that coming. I seen the title, and then when I realized he was singing another song to the tune of another song, well, that's just crazy. So anyway, that was Puddle's Pity Party. He's got the no affect face, I would say. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. We talk about cannabis in a positive light, and we talk about cannabis legalization. And this Thursday's no different. In fact, chances are I could really go off the rails, And if you do follow cannabis at all, even a little bit, the South Dakota got handed a little do. And so everybody should be properly incensed about whatever is going on over there with Christy Don't Know Him and her cop buddies. So at 4:20, we'll talk about that. And we're right up on the intro here. So why don't let's just do it. I'll see you in a little bit. We'll talk about cannabis here on Radio Free Fargo.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
And thank you very much. Wake and Bake. That's by the Goats. They've served me right. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday at 4:20, we open a bag of cannabis news, and we're going to do that right now. And in fact, I'm zipping it open as we speak. But I just wanted to mention, let's get North Dakota taken care of here. Okay? So we can see the landscape. Okay, so there is a constitutional amendment measure that's being pushed by the people. That's called ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. Wherever you live, you're going to be able to sign it. Maybe you want to grab a pack of whatever you do. But anyway, when you're over getting Becky's Body Butter at Tochi Products, you can sign over there. And then I think Orange Records, my homie downtown, has got something for you too. So, and that's 12 plants, 21 plus. It's really a good measure. It was written by David Thompson. I've had him on here a couple times. Solid dude. So I respect that and get behind that. Okay, so that's the people-driven initiative. So then, for the first time ever, we have legislators that have pushed their own legalization bill, and there's two of them now. I don't know. I'm learning, like this one I'm getting ready to talk about now, 1330, and this one is introduced by Representatives Nelson, Anderson, and Boschee, which I'm thinking Boshee's Grand Forks. Good dude. So, so right away I'm interested. Okay, and so what this one basically is an individual 21 years of age or older may grow, cultivate, process, manufacture, prepare, package, transfer, sell, consume, and purchase cannabis or products created from or which include cannabis. So cannabis means all part of the plant, genus cannabis, which it's nice to see, representatives of us calling it cannabis, because that's what it is, and it really is disrespectful to Hispanics when you call it marijuana, because if you know how it became marijuana, you know that it's not cool. What's cool is calling it by its real name, and stripping all kinds of, jive off it and, racistic appeal. It's cannabis. It's always been cannabis, and people changed it to marijuana so they could, it was the way they could call cannabis something about a particular race. I mean, that's what was happening. The Mexicans come over, they were working the fields, and they had that dirty devil's lettuce. So instead of saying, well, it's the same stuff that we're growing in Iowa, well, they didn't like them over there, So that was a whole political thing. Do some Googling. But anyway, so this one is House Concurrent Resolution number 3031. So this one would have to go through all the process, and then we would vote on it. So a lot of people say, it's too open-ended. You could have truckloads of cannabis. But I say diversity, options, that's great. It means a good, healthy thing. Now, is it the Minnesota measure? I mean, that one's beautiful, and that one is about as close to ND for freedom of cannabis. So you got House Bill 1420. That's got Jason Doctor, who looks like he's going to be on the show next Thursday at 4:20, so we'll talk to him about it. Shannon Rohr Jones, I believe, is a co-sponsor of that one. So a lot of people that are into politics say that politically this one's going to, it's already been planned to be done. You know how that is. They probably already had dinner with Dougie. So it's not like nobody's surprised with House Bill 1420. And so, again, I believe that we should be able to, have control of it, be able to grow it if you can't get to a dispensary, and just less stigma over growing it. I mean, I would argue that a lot of politicians just have never even done cannabis. They just don't even know what they're talking about, and that hurts us. It really does, I mean, they know about booze, so they compare it to that. They compare it to poor judgment making, jumping off a stool when some guy talked about his mama. I mean, I've seen some crazy drag-out fights in a small-town bar after 16 old Milwaukees in a Goldschlager, and he thinks some guy's talking about his mom. I mean, man, oh man, I remember a guy going into the Empire. I don't know if you guys in Fargo remember the Empire. I can still smell it now that I mentioned it. But I was going in to get off sales back when I was lit up 24 hours of the day, and I was on my way in into the Empire in that off sale section as somebody had the door open and a bouncer was ramming this guy. He was fighting him. He was talking about, don't you ever talk about my mama. He's hollering back in the bar. And they literally had to slam his head off the door frame just to get him to let go because it was intense, and threw him right out the door I was holding. Bounced off the bumper of a pickup parked up there. And we just went back to, living like it was nothing. And so if that's what you think excessive cannabis use will do, well, then you've got the wrong idea about its benefits and whether or not, it should be legal. And so I don't know, outside of getting everybody in a dome and forcing cannabis smoke in there, it's just really hurting us because they just don't know what cannabis really, really is, and we do, but, it's hard to get that through. And it looked like, they had trouble getting the THC limits of child medicine raised. It looks like that's going to be a problem. And the biggest thing is ignorance. Reefer madness. It's a real thing, and so it's hard to explain that to people that you're doing wrong by children by pretending you're doing right by them. Because if you're ignorant, it's not blissful. It's it's hurtful. So anyway, so let's in review. We got 1330. Seems like that one's going to be a free-for-all. If that one gets to the people, you guys vote that through, that's going to be pretty much you grow it. That's full legalization right there. So if it gets to the ballot, I'm going to vote on that sucker. You bet. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4:20. We talk about cannabis legalization in a positive light, and we're doing that now. We're still in North Dakota. So anyway, House Bill 1420, that one basically is a tax-heavy, it's a revenue-heavy measure. It no grow, it's taxed, and then the people, they decide to be dispensary. So probably Curaleaf is just going to keep maintaining their monopoly. So it's not going to say a lot for like small ventures into a business owner if you can't compete with Curaleaf, and you're not going to be able to. Curaleaf's going to pay all the fines. They're going to be able to pay for a building right away. Like there's no struggle on Curaleaf, setting up their business. And I don't approve. I don't like that. And you talk to people that have medical cards that do go through Curaleaf. 1 out of 4 of them say they get moldy stuff. The quality is subpar. Their customer service is weird. So if there was diversity and there were people that cared about the product and the people, that would push things through a little bit. So hopefully there would be an amendment in the House Bill 1420 that would allow more competition, but I would assume that they're already in bed with the biggest money, and Curaleaf is going to run with the whole thing. So I don't love that either. So then ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, you can have 12, and again, it's a good measure. So if you see that out on the streets, make sure you sign that, and then come next 22 when you can vote on this 3031. This one's the Yippee-Ki-Yay Cowboy one. And again, it'll be neat to see. So here we go. We're going to talk about South Dakota. Okay, now, mamby-pamby. Let's see. I'm going to talk about something good first. All right? I'm going to talk about something good first. This is from Marijuana Moment. It was written by Marijuana Moment. Iowa senators approve bill to slash medical marijuana patient and provider fees. Let's give Iowa a hand. Man, just when you thought, Idaho, those guys, looks like they ain't even going to let anybody have nothing. Looks like you're going to have to drive around Idaho if you got medicine on you. So, and South Dakota looks like, cops have got the policymakers in their pocket because they're not listening to the people. Am I right? 54% voted for cannabis recreationally. Is it going to happen? No, it is not going to happen. Well, why not? The majority said doesn't matter in South Dakota. Don't matter. It's the greasy wheel. It's the that judge babysitted my nieces. Says Christy don't know him. She calls Judge Bill. Hey, Judge Bill, man, you're going to have to definitely not let this through. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have Officer McKinney and lawyer, you met him at the ping pong tournament back the other day in Sturgis. Yeah, it's going to be him. Remember you liked him? Okay, well, he's going to come in there and you're going to say absolutely not to the one subject rule. I know you probably don't know what that means, and you're wondering how come nobody picked it out in the first place. Just go with it, It makes me sick. But anyway, it's pretty ridiculous that you could go to a casino a heck of a lot easier than you could go to a medical dispensary for cannabis. That's a quote by Kathy. Iowans would have to pay only $10 every 2 years for a medical cannabis card that now costs $100 per year under a bill advancing in the Iowa Senate, which I think it's $50 here, and there's a lot of other erroneous fees, but however, lawmakers on a Senate subcommittee agreed Thursday the fees, along with other parts of the bill, may need changes in order to make sure the program continues to cover the cost of state administration and testing fees. Now, let me see if I can find how much. Let's see, how much? $210,000. Let's see, how much would they need? Oh, health. Okay, so the Department of Public Health currently receives $600,000 to $700,000 a year to administer the program. And so Senator Joe Balcom, he noted lawmakers specify when they created the program that it would have to be self-sustaining. During a pandemic, which they're loving to use that, he said lawmakers would not want the department cannibalizing other parts of its operation to pay for the medical cannabis administration. So it sounds like a horrible guy to be in charge of medical Administration. He said, well, he believes the $100 annual fee for a medical cannabis card is too high. $10 every 2 years might be too low. So this is a guy that is fine with $100. He's only saying it might be too high because you're crushing him on it. You're pressing him on it. You're saying it's too high. He believes that, hey, it might be too high. But if you're paying it, they're taking it. And that's horrible because I think that's what happened. Somehow money has gotten into people's, it's like breathing salts. Everybody's snapped awake with money and they're doing a lot of shady stuff, And so hopefully Iowa can get this handling. Let's see, Zahn, he's from Urbandale, Senator Brad. He thinks it's a step in the right direction for access and more people to be able to afford to get this card. And that's another thing, that I noticed in North Dakota about not wanting to grow. Their ignorance is fighting for the wrong reasons. I mean, it's an honest reason. They just want, it's usually a rural person who probably has ambulation issues. Maybe doesn't have somebody to drive him another town over to the dispensary. He benefits from cannabis as a medicine. He wants to grow it so he can go outside to his garage instead of trying to, sucker a ride into town. That's it. This guy ain't hoping to be able to grow it in his yard so he can sell it to all your neighborhoods. They're shooting out street lights. They're doing rails of marijuana. That's kind of a joke. I made a snorting marijuana joke. I don't know. Maybe only you junkies got it. But anyway, it ain't going to be like you think it is. And I don't know how to change your mind. I mean, you look at all these other states that have legalized it. Where are the deaths? Where are the deaths? Where are the deaths? Legislators that act all weird, like we're trying to, push something horrible. Where are all the deaths in Illinois? How come we don't have a coronavirus chart that tells us how many marijuana heads die every day? Where is that chart? Because if that was existing, even, of course, if people were dying a little bit from marijuana, I'm still going to represent it. But I'm going to represent it a little less, aggressively, because you're going to go like, well, there's 2 extra deaths a day when we legalized it in Maine. But you can't show me that. That doesn't exist. I don't have to argue some different, argument. I mean, I don't have to. But that's what they're still doing to us. Like the people that are in charge of making these laws are bucking us, are bucking people despite the proof that it just doesn't happen. So anyway, this is Ben Adlin, Marijuana Moment. The judge voids, that means it's no good, voids South Dakota's marijuana legalization initiative. This is the recreational one. Finding voter-approved measure was unconstitutional. Now, I just want to go to this really quick. This is local news from KELO out of Pierre. They say recreational marijuana supporters were told not to go forward with Amendment A in 2019. Recreational marijuana supporters, and this is written by Kilo. Recreational marijuana supporters were warned not to move forward with Amendment A more than a year before a judge ruled it was void. Just like supporters of any amendment or ballot measure. And see, this is what I wondered. How can it get so far to then be told it's no good? And so again, I'm pro-cannabis, but I'm also pro-fair, and I believe in honesty, and I believe in transparency and all that crap, And so I wondered how you could get something that could be just voided with one afternoon at the courthouse. And so here's what they're going to say. Okay, so groups are required to do that before gathering signatures. You've got to submit the text to the Legislative Research Council. Okay, the LRC it's his job to provide guidance. The goal is to make sure amendments and ballot measures are written so that they can successfully take effect. Well, of course, I bet none of us knew that or expected it. That's the question I have, because it seems like they tell you, they reward you. Yep, that measure is good. Go ahead, put it on the ballot. Boom, they put it on the ballot. Well, maybe the people will vote. Boom, they voted for it. And then they're like, well, that measure is no good. It's like, well, how did you get to this point without being told? And so as a devil's advocate, I'm telling you that apparently that did happen. by the Legislative Research Council. When the LRC responded to Amendment A supporters in May of 2019, the LRC recommended the proposal be rewritten so that it would amend South Dakota law rather than the Constitution. So, and apparently tomorrow or something, they'll take a look at the reason behind the recommendation and the rest of the suggestions, which I'm kind of interested in seeing too. But I just wanted to say that to you guys before I go back to Judge Voigt's South Dakota Marijuana Legislative. So it didn't come out of the blue, apparently. Now, if you were the writer of the measure and they told you that maybe you should rewrite it, I mean, do they get offended and say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about and he just doesn't want cannabis legalized in South Dakota? You know, maybe there was a communication breakdown. But if there's a legislative council that approves your measure and says to them, Amendment A is solid, bro. It's solid, bruh. Run it, bruh. Well, then they run it, and then they tell them, oh, well, then they'd be like, well, man, the LRC told us to run it, bruh. Well, they're the ones that decide, so we ran it. Okay, then they go to the LRC and go, yo, why'd you tell these guys to run it, bruh? They get to the end of the race, and they can't win because you told them they could. And so apparently there was an attempt to tell them that, you know, and I even wondered, like with Measure 3, you know, people talked about, and that was the legalization measure in North Dakota 2018. And the people who talked. They said it's not written right. Nobody's going to pass it with that. Well, I'm sure they passed it through the legalization, whatever council, or maybe they didn't. You know, so maybe they did and they ran it anyway. And then since it didn't pass in 2018, then they didn't talk about the things that weren't writ right. So again, Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act is looks like the most solidly written and the one written for people's written for people, power to the people. So again, if you're anywhere around and you see that, go ahead and sign it. So let's get into this because, man, we're about done, and I just rambled. So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, RadioFreeFargo.org, downtown Fargo here, talking about cannabis and cannabis legalization. Thanks for joining me. Before this was Side Stage with Trav, noon to 3. Right after this is Stinky Arts Music Mart, and then Locals on the 8. So a good solid Thursday. And it looks like next Thursday at this time, we'll be talking to Representative Jason Doctor, co-sponsor of the House Bill 1420. So that's going to be good. That's going to be a good time. You know, you come on back here. Because like I said, at the very least, I put my foot in my mouth. It'll be awkward. You guys be like, I can't believe Wilson asked him that, you know. Because if you're thinking, there's not a chance of that, there's a big chance of that, you know. Now, is it something that'll keep me from doing it? Oh, no. I'm too stupid to do things that I'm supposed to do. You know? Yeah, I do everything the wrong way. You know, and then I learn from that and I do something else wrong. So anyway, a South Dakota state judge has ruled that last year's voter-approved initiative to legalize marijuana for adults 21 and over is unconstitutional and cannot go forward, though advocates plan to appeal. But that's the thing, though. They already, because that LRC is going to say, we told them something was up with it. So anyway, Judge Christina Klinger of the state's 6th Judicial Circuit Court ruled Monday that the measure Amendment A includes multiple subjects rather than a single issue as required by the state constitution. So why didn't the LRC say to them, this has got more issues? This is a multi-issue. But anyway, she also wrote that because the measure has far-reaching effects on the basic nature of South Dakota's governmental system, which that's kind of the crux of it. They've got a system set up, prison for profits, and money from busting people for cannabis fines. Their structure, their governmental system is set up around busting the people that they couldn't bust anymore. So, of course, that's far-reaching, but what's that got to do with me? Cops suck. They were sucking. Tell them to stop sucking and get a different governmental system. Because the basic nature of South Dakota's governmental system is for profit by busting people. It's a big fat joke. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows South Dakota is a horrible place to get busted for or to get pulled over for something. Because the governmental system is set up to have everybody paid. The highway patrol gets paid. The jail gets paid. The kitchen, who makes the food and buys the food, they get paid. There's tax exemptions. And that's a far-reaching basic nature of the mob mentality there in South Dakota. So it should have been referred to voters through the Constitutional Convention process instead of a simple amendment. So why did, So it's like, why didn't they do that? I don't know. The failure to submit Amendment 8 through the proper constitutional process voids the amendment, and it has no effect because they failed to submit Amendment 8. Now, Brendan Johnson, sponsor of Amendment A and an attorney for South Dakotans for better marijuana laws, told the Marijuana Moment after the ruling that the reform advocates will appeal Klinger's ruling to the state's highest court. They disagree with the ruling. Of course, they did, said Johnson. He's a former U.S. attorney for South Dakota, and they are preparing our appeal to South Dakota Supreme Court. Let's see. Highway Patrol Superintendent said, I'm pleased with the court's decision today, though I realize that the Supreme Court will likely have the opportunity to address our constitutional concerns on their merits. And I see, so he knows all that stuff. So I would imagine they've got that figured out. But let me see if I can jump through here. Marijuana legalization has majority support in North Carolina, so shout out South Carolina. I wanted to read this really quick. Proposed Minnesota weed bill would reschedule pot, which it should be cannabis, would reschedule cannabis to allow patients to own guns. All right. So in Minnesota, this is a cool story. A Minnesota Republican lawmaker has proposed a new bill that would make it easier for the state's medical marijuana patients to own guns. Although the right to bear arms is protected by the U.S. Constitution, federal law denies that right to anyone who uses illegal drugs. And even though most states have legalized medical cannabis in some form, the government still classifies it as a Schedule I with no medicinal value. For this reason, medical cannabis patients have been blocked from legally buying guns. So cannabis advocates in Congress have been trying to reform this thing to protect ownership's rights. Now, here's the cool part. State Representative Rod Hamilton just proposed a new bill, and he has run into this very problem himself. The lawmaker has been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and is currently using medical cannabis. But when he tried to renew his permit to carry a gun, he was denied, and he showed up on a list of registered patients. The new proposal would address this issue by reclassifying cannabis as a Schedule II drug under state laws. Drugs in this category are legal if prescribed by a doctor and do not disqualify a person from owning a gun. So you hear that, North Dakota? Get this thing down to Schedule II, and then everybody can have guns. Not everybody, and you know what I'm saying. But anyway, shout out to State Representative Rod Hamilton. I mean, I didn't even know that there were representatives or legislators that had medical cannabis cards. Not to mention, he gets screwed over by the very system he supports. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them, and hopefully this thing will get it through. And this classification prohibits gun retailers from legally selling firearms to any of the state's 43,000 registered medical pot patients. Oh, yeah, see? So because of the whole illegalness. Well, that's horrible, and I hope that works out. Let me say this quick. Destroyed by police in Navajo Nation raid. About 260,000 plants were destroyed and 30 tons of evidence confiscated last week during a police raid on a hemp farm accused of growing illicit cannabis on Navajo Nation land. Illicit, Now, it's even got a neat name. The investigation, Operation Navajo Gold, focused on a supposed hemp operation. And then they found out that it was about 1,000 pounds of high-grade cannabis ready for distribution. The Navajo police chief said the raid brings a much-needed resolution to the marijuana operations and has given the Navajo Nation citizens, as well as the surrounding communities, peace of mind, which that is bull. That place wasn't any different now than it was, except a lot of them people don't have peace of mind because they don't have grass in their mind. But anyway, that's just stuff that's still happening out there. Ganja shortage in Jamaica, somebody said, and there's been no such report from CLA License, Cannabis Licensing Authority. Apparently, weed equals $50 for 2 joints and $100 a large bag for joints. So I don't know what that even means. So why don't we just stop talking about it? So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, 4 o'clock. I get in here. 4:20, we open a bag of cannabis news. This Thursday's no different. I hope you learned at least one thing. Next Thursday, you can bet I'll be back in here after Side Stage with Trav. This hour of music on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar in Lutherie. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, and Paul Reed Smith guitars, amongst many others. They also sell guitars on consignment as well as take trade-ins, along with having a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar in Lutherie on Facebook or visit in person at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Well, what up, everybody? Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is getting ready to play Weezer. This is brand new Weezer. I'm playing 3 songs because they're not very long. But anyway, there's no electric guitar in here. It's all orchestrated. And it's really funny because it sounds like old school Weezer, except there's no stinking, electrified stuff in it. It's all this. So here comes the rains first. Oh boy, brand new Weezer. It's OK Human is the name of the album. First song was Here Comes the Rain, then Screens, then La Brea Tar Pits. And again, I think it's great sounding Weezer. And you're listening to Radio Free Fargo 95.9 LPFM, radiofreefargo.org. You can go and donate there. You can listen to old shows. This show will happen tomorrow on Canna-Talk ND without the music. So that's around 5:30. On Sunday, you got Philip Cannahead Pilko does Canna Heads on Sunday. You want to check that out. And if you are at... Oh, no, I know what I was going to say. This show, once again, is being brought to you by Becky's Body Butter. Ain't nobody's body that this butter shouldn't be on. It's made with kosher, full-spectrum CBD, North Dakota-grown hemp, of course, mango butter, shea butter, beeswax, coconut oil, colloidal silver, turmeric, arnica, comfrey, myrrh, frankincense, sage, and rosemary is all the stuff that's in there. And let me give you some of the stuff. Inflammation, eczema, hydration of the face, foot fungus, and the list goes a long way. You can go to Tochi Products and get some stuff there. And you can sign the petition while you're there, or you can go to Odds 2 Ends, which is in West Fargo, 2111 Main Avenue East, or you can go to Black Cottage Alchemy Online and pick up some of Becky's Body Butter, who sponsors Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. We talk about cannabis legalization in a positive light, and this is no different. Side stage with Tramp from noon to 3 on Thursday. Then from 4 to 5, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. And then after me, it's Stinky Arts Music Mart, and then locals on the 8 here at KRFF 95.9. Make sure you come back next Thursday. If things work out right, I'll have Representative Jason Doctor in here, one of the co-sponsors of House Bill 1420, which is a legalization measure presented by legislators, which has never happened, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, has never happened in North Dakota before. So that's really exciting, and so you'll want to hear what stupid stuff I'm going to, ask them in the guise of journalism. Anyway, we've got to the end here. Radio Free Fargo, 95.9, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Educate yourself and then educate somebody else on the benefits of cannabis. And like always, David Allen Judgment Day. Peace.